First off, I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your day to join us today. And we're here to help you. We're here in service to help you. You know, you might have taken the vaccine or you might have gotten sick. And that's what we're here for, to help you clear out all of those side effects. I intuitively was told that a lot would start happening 3 to 5 years after the vaccines. So we want to get that stuff cleared out of your system. I'm going to be running a lot of energy work. I'm going to be doing an activation called Nanobytes. We're doing gene replacement, gut health, and DNA repair. I have Dr. David here. He is a friend of mine. He's a sacred activations practitioner. Plus, he has tons of other certificates. Plus, he's an internal doctor turned holistic doctor who works with a lot of sick people. And he is here to give you a lot of information on what you could do to help detox your body. Because this isn't a life sentence, even if it's been 3 years and you've had all of this in your system and you're having a hard time. You can change that today. And that's why we're here. We're here to help you change this. And when this changes it in you, it spreads to everyone around you. You're helping the whole world by being here today. So, congratulations and thank you for showing up. Hi, how are you? I'm just going to call you Dr. David because you know I'm really bad at pronunciations. If you want to go ahead and share a little more about yourself and how to pronounce your name. Thank you.
Well, I'll at least share that much. Hi, I'm Dr. David Manganaro, and I've been practicing holistic medicine exclusively since about 2010. But even before then, I was practicing a combination of internal medicine and alternative complementary medicine. I have an office currently in New Jersey. I used to be in Manhattan. The name of the practice is Manhattan Advanced Medicine. I pretty much now am exclusive alternative medicine. I have, as you mentioned, a lot of different trainings, like a lot of other holistic practitioners. I think that's a good enough introduction for now.
Thank you. So, how do we help people for coronavirus or the vaccine?
Okay, well, I could tell you what other practitioners and myself are doing. Many of us have may do somewhat different things, and there may be a lot of overlap. I could tell you what I find a lot in my practice when I have somebody come in with either long COVID or a vaccine injury. So when I do my testing, I find that a lot of them, if not all of them, have residual spike proteins in their body. And I'll just assume everyone knows what that is, or should I explain that?
No, go ahead. Well, the spike proteins is from COVID creates it, so does the vaccine, right?
Correct. So spike protein, other coronaviruses have it. That's why when they symbolize the coronavirus, it kind of look like a sun with the corona is the aura around the sun and the spikes coming out. The spike protein helps the virus attach to your cells and other areas of the body. It has a high affinity for many areas of the body. So that's how the virus attaches to your cells, mainly through something called the ACE2 receptor, and now they're finding also through it attaches, or parts of it, or parts of the vaccine may attach to acetylcholine receptors. In any event, what happens is once you've gotten sick with COVID, and let's say your body's gone through its illness and eliminated the virus, they feel in long COVID, the regular medical practitioners, they're looking at there must be persistent virus. But what I found is in almost everyone, there's just the persistent spike proteins and the virus is completely gone. So the virus, once it's killed and processed through your system, a lot of times the spike proteins remain attached everywhere. And they can contribute to inflammation, can worsen autoimmunity, and they contribute to blood clotting through various different mechanisms. So one of the prime things we need to do is eliminate those spike proteins. And so what I found in my patients, besides the residual spike proteins, is I found almost all of them have some semblance of autoimmunity. If they've had autoimmunity before, after they got COVID, or perhaps after they get that vaccine, the autoimmunity can worsen. They haven't had autoimmunity before, they may actually start getting autoimmunity for the first time in their lives. Well, let me explain autoimmunity. Your immune system is supposed to only attack infections and cancer if it's there. And it's also involved with processing toxins too. When a small part of the immune system is a little confused and attacks parts of your own body, that's what autoimmunity is. It's still doing its other work, but a small part of it is kind of going amok, so to speak. So in the patients I see, most of their autoimmunity is to their joints, their thyroid, or their brain. That's probably because I mostly see Lyme patients. The vaccine injured patients can also, of course, as we've heard, have autoimmunity to the blood vessels or the heart muscle itself. I've only seen a few cases with the autoimmunity to the heart muscle. And just be aware, autoimmunity, once you have it, it could generalize. It could start in one area and then start attacking another area. I've seen autoimmunity to almost any part of the body, of course, the skin, the adrenal glands, etc. So those are the main things I see. An uptick in autoimmunity, residual spike proteins, and most of my patients have a lot of toxins building up in their body.
Thank you. Okay, so you want to share some slides.
Right. Well, I'll also talk about right, and they have to do with treatment. So those are the findings I mostly see. What we want to do is, of course, offer you some information on what you can do about that. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, there's a lot of information online, and there's a lot of different things you could do about that. Some of these things you may want or need a practitioner to facilitate it, of course. I'd like to try to have people sort of empowered. So it would be very good for your own health if everyone actually learned how to do some muscle testing on themselves. That way, they could see what's going on with their own system. So, with self-muscle testing, you are accessing the body's own innate intelligence, perhaps your subconscious, and you can actually get some findings and see out of various treatments which ones may be most appropriate for you. You can even dose out the treatment. Okay, so this is my desktop. Let's see. This is the FLCCC website. So I'm going a little bit out of order, but I'll start with this. So this is from Dr. Marek and Dr. Corey. There are other physicians involved. When COVID started, basically this group started. FLCCC, I believe, stands for, it's an Alliance for Critical Care COVID Alliance. So CCC is Critical Care COVID. Functional medicine and regular physicians. As you know, when COVID first started, there were a lot of, and when the vaccine started, there were a lot of regular practicing physicians, research physicians, and research scientists that were unfortunately censored at the time. And a lot of the things they said may be potential issues with the vaccine. A lot of that became true, and a lot of treatments they recommended do turn out to be helpful. So the website is up here. You can see COVID-19criticalcare.com, or you can just Google, you can put in Google FLCCC, that's listed right here. So the website's large. I just want to show you some areas of it. So if you go to treatment, you see here they have prevention, meaning prevention of COVID, treatment of COVID, long COVID recovery, vaccine injury, shedding, and long vax recovery. So if you click, for instance, on long vax recovery, you'll come to this page. And what I would recommend is downloading the whole post-vaccine protocol. And the reason I recommend that is because it gets very detailed and specific here where they list actual dosages. When you download the summary, they used to have dosages, and now they only have a summary of certain supplements they recommend. So if you look in this page, you get this, and they just have a treatment approach for post-vaccine, and then they just list first-line therapies, second-line therapies, and third-line therapies. And then it's not just supplements, it's other types of treatments that they list. However, if you do the protocol, it's kind of long. You don't have to read the whole thing. As you can see, it's many, many pages. It has a table of contents. But if you scroll down, it gives you a summary of suggested therapies. And very simply, it lists first line, second line, and third line therapies. So first line therapies are the things you try first. If you're not improving, you may need to go to second line therapies. And if still not improving, third line therapies. But by that time, you should, be involved with some kind of practitioner who's familiar with this type of work. We could look at some of these first line therapies. I'm just going to pass over a few of them. We don't want to take too much time, but you can access this and get all these specifics. So ivermectin, I do use a lot with my long COVID and my COVID vaccine patients. Low dose naltrexone is very useful for the modulating immune system. It's used for autoimmunity, and it's used for cancer to strengthen the immune system. However, with that, you need a prescription. Nattokinase is used to thin the blood. There are other natural blood thinners Nattokinase comes from natto, which is fermented soy. There's lumbrokinase, which comes from worms, and there's serrapeptase, if you've heard of those, which also comes from, I think, silkworms. I'm not sure. Mast cell activation can happen with long COVID and vaccine injury. Mast cell activation is when you basically your body is overly responding. That happens in Lyme and mold too and other illnesses. Mast cells are the cells that release histamine. So histamine is useful. It has its use and space. But when the mast cells become overreactive and overly sensitive and they release histamine inappropriately, it could cause symptoms all over the body in many different systems of the body, and that can occur. Something that many people are not familiar with is using melatonin for COVID, also acute COVID. It's a very good antioxidant. And we'll get into the bromelain or other enzymes in other areas, but I just wanted to show you this.
Well, what is the bromelain?
So bromelain is an enzyme. So first of all, you can even use digestive enzymes to some extent. Digestive enzymes, when you take them with food, they help you digest the food. I don't know if they listed here, but a lot of people talk about using bromelain and other enzymes. They must be taken on an empty stomach for this purpose. When you take the enzyme on an empty stomach and there's no food there, the enzyme gets absorbed in the body and then can work systemically rather than just locally in the intestinal tract. It breaks down things. So we have a lot of debris in our system. It's specifically, probably this is working, and some of these work on fibrin. That's the nattokinase. It's fibrinolytic. Fibrin is part of blood clotting. Bromelain can help break down debris, including the spike protein. So you want to have these on board before you pull the spike proteins off of where they're attached everywhere in the body. So the overall concept is to get some of these things on board, like the nattokinase to thin the blood, and the bromelain or other digestive enzymes to break down the spike protein. Then you want to pull the spike protein off of all the areas and the body is strongly attached to. If you pull it off first and you don't have these other treatments in line first, you could actually get sicker. So you want to get these other supplements in line, then pull it off. I'll go to Dr. McCullough's site where he lists this a lot more simply and it's a lot less complicated.
How do you pull the spike proteins off once you've started
Okay,
your bromelain
right.
and nanokinase?
So the ivermectin does that, but not everybody has access to ivermectin, and you may want to have a physician just to make sure it's not interacting with your other medicines, or you don't have an issue where you cannot take ivermectin. But also black cumin seed oil, and it used to be listed here, works like ivermectin. I think this is the active component in black cumin seed oil, maybe Nigella sativa. So that works similarly to ivermectin, but you need a quite a high dose of that.
And what would be the dosage and do you do the ivermectin every day? Do you do it a couple times a week? How do you
Well,
do that
okay,
to get
so I
spike
test my
protein out?
patients. So they list the dosage is zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.3 milligrams per kilogram per day. So you have to figure out your body weight in kilograms and then multiply it by zero point 0.2 or zero point 0.3 and get your dose. To make it simple, if you have an average adult body weight, I find most of my patients use between 12 and 15 milligrams of ivermectin. So I've tested hundreds of people, so I'll tell you on average, if you don't have a practitioner to test you, or they're just using a set protocol and you want to individualize the protocol, you can self muscle test or go to someone who can muscle test. But in most of my patients, it's 12 to 15 milligrams or 9 to 15 milligrams, and it's usually every 3 to 4 days. So you don't take it every day. And you usually take it with dinner. So it's less likely to upset your stomach, and you usually start at a lower dose. So ivermectin, especially if you have parasites, can cause some nausea, abdominal cramps, or diarrhea. So for my sensitive patients, it comes in 3 milligram tablets is the standard dose, unless you're getting it from a compounding pharmacy or from overseas. So my sensitive patients with the 3 milligram tablets, I may have them start with 1 or 2 tablets. So 3 or 6 milligrams. If it's agreeing with them, the next time they take it, 3 to 4 or even 5 days later, they'll add a tablet. So they'll add 3 more milligrams. So they'll start at 3, go to 6, go to 9. Once you get to a dose where you're having a little abdominal discomfort, then you don't want to increase it anymore. You may want to back off to the prior dose, especially if it was more moderate to severe or having some cramps or diarrhea. And then how long do you stay on that? So most of my patients need 10 to 15 medication days. So if you're taking it every 3 days and you need 10 medication days, that's going to take you approximately 30 days to complete it. for instance. If you need 15 medication days and you're taking it every 5 days, then that's 15 times three. That's 15 times five. That's how many days it will take to complete it. So I tend to pulse it like that. That's what it shows in pretty much all my patients to treat long COVID or a vaccine injury. Acute COVID is completely different. The dose is more than this, and you take it for 5 to 10 days in a row. So we're not talking acute COVID here, but that's completely different. But they do have, under treatment of COVID, they do have that protocol if you were to click there. Any other questions on this website?
For every 3 to 5 days is what they would suggest if you have COVID.
That's what I suggest. That's what most of my
Okay,
patients show. And I can't tell you what you're going to show, each person individually. But if
right.
they have a kinesiologist or if they do self-muscle testing, they could dose it out for themselves. And again, with ivermectin, you want to make sure it doesn't interact with any of your medications or you don't have any other issues that you cannot take ivermectin.
Yeah, if you're on different prescription drugs, make sure you check with your doctor. A lot of people are asking questions about ivermectin. There was a lot of false information put out there and a lot of fear put out there about ivermectin from the media. And so a
Absolutely.
lot of people were scared to take it. And yeah, of course it's made for pets, but it's also made for humans.
Oh, sure.
And I know the parasites really is a lot of what causes cancer. Any suggestion on that?
Well, there actually is an article out, not so much for prevention, but using ivermectin for treatment of cancer, along with mebendazole, another anti-parasite remedy, or which is a human one like ivermectin is, or fenbendazole, which is a pet anti-parasite remedy. I mean, ivermectin, I believe, I read this so long ago, but it was, I think, discovered in Japan in soil. And a group of bacteria, I believe, were making something called avermectin. It was either bacteria or fungus, make avermectin, and they modified it to ivermectin. And they found in humans and pets it has some anti-cancer properties, they feel, certainly anti-inflammatory properties, antiviral, and perhaps some antibacterial properties. So it does have a lot of broad usage. And yes, it was vilified, billions of doses. It's probably the most prescribed medicine in the world with billions of doses, I'll say safely given. Of course, some people had issues and side effects with it. Perhaps some of them were severe, but in general, it's probably safer than Tylenol for the most part. People
Wow.
in India, people in parts of India are on it every week or twice a week as a prevention. There's a parasite in India that's ubiquitous or everywhere in certain areas that can cause blindness. And they're on it all the time. And one of the early things they found out in COVID is in those areas where they were taking a lot of ivermectin, the incidence of COVID and severe COVID was much lower. And that's what I think initially gave the impetus to look into ivermectin as a treatment. So I'm leaving out a lot of specifics mainly because I don't remember them, but it would get overly confusing anyway. So this is from an article in the National Library of Science from Dr. Peter McCullough. And so we have this little bit of a complicated slide here, and he has a protocol for spike protein detoxification. If you don't know Dr. McCullough, he's been on, I believe, Rumble, he's been on YouTube, he's been on the regular news, at least cable news, during COVID, maybe not initially, but a long part of COVID, where he was talking about COVID and treatments for it and also for the vaccine. And he has a base spike protein detox protocol right here. And so this is really nice and simple that pretty much anyone can use. All right, so
Absolutely.
bromelain is an enzyme, 500 milligrams. Again, away from food. It doesn't say that here. I would probably consider taking that twice a day. The nattokinase is what can help break down the spike protein, and that's 2000 FUs. Those are units they use for fibrinolytic or fibrin breaking down units, 2000 units twice a day. And curcumin, 500 milligrams twice a day. And it tells you here what each of these do. So the bromelain breaks down, has an anti-inflammatory and anticoagulant effect, and it will break down proteolytic, break down proteins. Nattokinase breaks down proteins, and it also has a blood thinning effect, and the curcumin has an antiviral, anti-fibrin, and blood thinning effect.
So somebody in their country cannot get ivermectin. What would they use instead?
Black cumin seed oil, I believe it's 80 to 160 milligrams twice a day. I think that's what they listed over here as Nigella sativa. I'd have to check that. I don't want to mislead anyone, but and the treatment here, and the video is getting in the way. Treatment here for long vax recovery, if you download it and scroll down like I did before, over here, you could Google Nigella sativa. I believe that's a different name for black human seed oil or the
Yeah,
active
I see it there.
seed oil. So I think
Yeah.
that is the active component. Or you can use that, and that can help with spike proteins. Oh yeah, it's the same thing. It's black human seeds is Nigella sativa. It's the active component of it.
Okay. Perfect.
So
Perfect.
let
So
me
no matter where you guys are, there is stuff to help you.
So Dr. McCullough has this spike support program, which includes those three elements which I've mentioned. And the main thing we're addressing is pulling the spike proteins off the cells they're bound to, breaking down the spike proteins, degrading them, and also helping with the blood clotting issue because you want to thin the blood a bit, and you have to be careful before you use nattokinase. So I don't know if it says so here, but of course, if you're on any prescription blood thinners, you have to be careful with using these products. You should clear that through your physician because they thin the blood even more. So there's many different components to blood clotting. You have your platelets, which things like aspirin and Plavix and other prescriptions work on. So you have your platelets, you have your fibrinolytic system, which this works on, and then you have your blood clotting factors, which the liver makes. The blood clotting factors are what the older medicines worked on, like Coumadin, and newer medicines like Eliquis work on just some specific blood clotting factors. So you have to be very careful. There's other blood thinning medicines. So you would know if you're on one of those, and you would have to be careful with that if you're going to take either nattokinase or lumbrokinase or serrapeptidase. In addition, just as a side, it's not part of this talk, but other things that can thin your blood that are natural are high dose vitamin E, like over 1,000 units. High dose fish oil can thin your blood. High dose CoQ10 can thin your blood. I'm talking really high doses, and maybe even curcumin at high dose. So you have to be careful with those supplements if you
Not
want
do
to.
all of them at the same time.
Right. Yes. So that's Dr. Culla, and we also spoke about Dr. Marek and Corey with the FLCCC protocol, which is very specific. And then I would just briefly talk about two other people. There's a Dr. Henry Ely and another physician, I forget his name, separate entities, which talk about nicotine use. So what's this about nicotine use? So besides the spike proteins and the ACE2 receptors, some people and some research has shown that either the spike proteins or some other components in the vaccine bind to what's called acetylcholine receptors, especially in the brain. And nicotine also binds to acetylcholine receptors. So if you have a lot of neurological symptoms, and this is from PubMed, National Library of Medicine, if you have a lot of neurological symptoms, taking nicotine in a patch, and there are some protocols, specific protocols, and again, you have to make sure this is okay with you through your physician or cardiologist and with your other medications. It is over the counter, but you still have to be careful. Taking nicotine can pull the spike protein off the acetylcholine receptors. So that may be helpful, especially for people with brain fog, headaches, ringing in the ears after COVID or the vaccine. I can pull up one of those protocols quickly. I don't want to take up too much time. Let's,
So also while you're looking for that, the second line protocol on the last slide showed NAC. So you would use NAC with nanokinates?
right. So it's not left and right. You could use, you go column down. You would, use mainly the ones on this first line therapies in this column. And
Okay.
then you can go to the second column. And some of the things are harder to use, like hyperbaric oxygen, but vitamin
Yeah.
D is easy to use, omegas, NAC. NAC is a wonderful supplement. Even some regular pulmonary or lung specialists use it for their emphysema patients. It's good for the liver, it's good for the lungs, it can be good for chronic cough. It's good also to help glutathione, which is a very good antioxidant. It's in a cycle of glutathione. When you take an antioxidant and it gets used in the body, it gets oxidized. And then you can regenerate the reduced glutathione by taking NAC and vitamin C and other things. So it helps regenerate your spent glutathione, so to speak. And it also mentions down here methylene blue, which also could be used for fatigue, depression, and some neurological symptoms. That's over the counter too. That's something you have to research a bit and be careful with. If you take any more than like 10 milligrams to 30 milligrams a day, it does raise serotonin. So if you're on certain medications, antidepressants that raise serotonin, could have an interaction. To be honest with you, most doctors feel you'd have to go over 200 milligrams to interact. But in any event, start low and go slow. It's a liquid. It's a dye. It will turn your urine blue. So it tears. All right. So I was looking to minimize this. Let me stop the share and go to my desktop.
I have a question. Does
Sure.
COVID affect the eyes or the vaccine affect your eyesight or?
I don't know how about doing that directly, affecting the eyesight. No,
Okay. It's
don't
just
know.
somebody brought that up, so I wanted to ask
They
you.
may be right. I have to look into that. It can certainly affect the neurological system. So, Dr. Jill Krista,
And again, you guys, we'll be sharing these links with you so you can go much deeper into this.
so this is from Dr. Jill Krista. She deals a lot with mold and I believe SIBO. But she gave her experience and some article references using nicotine. All right. So there are she lists three NIH papers. I actually showed you one of those. And so she's talking about the spike protein on nicotine receptors, or Dr. Ely feels there's a lot of venom use in the vaccine injury. They have they do research on venom and they take some of the research and use that on some vaccines. So there's some components perhaps of snake venom, some components of that in vaccines that they feel are useful, but the snake venom binds the acetylcholine receptor and it could mimic initially COVID, almost mimicked what people would look like if they were poisoned with carbon monoxide or snake venom. They would be blue, for instance. So she explains here not only about the nicotine, but she actually gives a protocol how to use it. So, and she lists it for her sensitive patients too, using a 7 milligram patch and cutting it in quarters and using a quarter of a patch. Leave it. You can only use the patch for 24 hours and then it's no longer good. So you use a quarter of a patch every 24 hours and you have it on continuously. You take the old one off, you put the new quarter patch on for 3 to 4 days. And as long as you're not getting any side effects, you increase the dose to 2 quarters, then 3 quarters, and then a full patch. And once you're on a full patch or 7 milligrams, you stay on that for a full week. Now, that's actually a very low dose because these patches come in 7, 14, and 21 milligrams for nicotine addiction. And then she tells you, of course, that you have to be on some blood thinner first before you even start using the patch, because the patch, like ivermectin, will pull the spike proteins off. So you should be on, for instance, the Dr. Peter McCullough protocol or some protocol to treat spike proteins and the blood clotting before you even start the patches. I would recommend the Dr. McCullough protocol before you start this. She's talking about lumbrikinase, which is a separate blood thinner. And I can include this on if I can get a link to it.
This is really good information.
Thank you. Do you have any questions on all of that?
Yeah, I'm just questioning for people that are hosting in here. How about mRNA?
Okay. Well, also, let me just mention two other things. When we're talking about detoxing the spike protein, you want to make sure your detox organs are functioning well. So these other physicians don't mention at all, unfortunately, what's called the emunctories or the detox organs and glands. And there's upstream ones and there's downstream ones. So you need your detox pathways open because these toxins have to come out of your body. So if you're constipated, that's no good. You need to treat that first. I have all of my patients on a combination of homeopathic remedies, herbal remedies, and nutrients that support the detox organs, the main ones being the liver, the kidneys, and the lymphatic system. The skin and lungs are detox organs too. They're secondary detox organs, but they're helpful. So, of course, pranayama or breathing or exercising for the lungs, the skin brushing, saunas, sweating through exercise or steam, etc., helps to detox. But the main ones are the colon. And so, if you're constipated, you should take things to treat the constipation or you could do colonics. The lymphatic system, the lymph nodes and glands are a big circulatory system through the whole body. It's not only a big part of the immune system, it's a big detox system, one of the major ones. And most people have lymphatic congestion from infection in the body that they're unaware of, like some viruses or parasites, and lymphatic congestion from toxins. And so we use homeopathic remedies for lymphatics. You could also use rebounding, lymphatic massage, and some other techniques. The
I give
kidney
myself
detox.
massages, lymphatic massage. I looked it up on YouTube. I've got this
Yeah.
like rubber type brush thing that I start here to open this up and then I start on my face and then just keep bringing everything up from my legs or down from my body into my release area.
And you said that exactly right because the lymph will drain in the upper chest here somewhere into the main lymphatic drainage duct. So you want to open it up under the clavicle,
First.
then in the
Yeah.
neck first. Because if you start at the extremities, it's going to move and
Yeah.
just get stuck there. So you
Yeah.
make sure it's open. You do from proximal or close to the
Yeah. Here.
drainage,
Yeah.
and then you work your way out. And
Yeah.
so
I've had my
liver,
face, my whole eye swollen and stuff the next day. It's like, ooh,
oh,
I
you
guess
mean
I need to do this a little more.
and so the kidney's drinking a lot of good pure water. And, even if you tap your organs, you activate them. So you can thump on your kidneys to activate your kidneys. That's just a way to activate or stimulate the organs. It's a neural therapy trick when an organ shows up as what we call a focus or issue of concern, and you could clear it temporarily that way. A very good thumper activation is on the thymus gland. So you go to this notch in your neck, and it's about 2 inches down, and you can make a 2 inch diameter circle. Well, you could just tap there, but you could use your fingertips or like this, and you make, for some reason, they say counterclockwise circle, and you just tap there for about 30 seconds. And doing that 2 or 3 times a day is very good for the thymus. It boosts your immune system. It actually strengthens your auric field and the boundaries of your auric field. So that's and it can give you some energy. Doing what they call a K27. You feel your collarbones and go where they meet the sternum, and then right below it, there's 2 points here. Those are acupuncture points K27. And massaging those in a circular fashion, doesn't matter, clockwise, counterclockwise. That's a very good area to actually give you energy also and clear your mind. And there's other techniques. These are kinesiology techniques overlapping with neural therapy and some other practitioner techniques. So the kidneys you want to detox and the liver. So the liver gets rid of toxins. One way is by putting toxins in the bile, which goes into your colon. There are supplements that can cause your gallbladder to contract a little bit, of course, but you have to be careful with that if you have gallstones. But you don't want to be constipated. So if your liver is putting toxins in the bile and the bile gets dumped in the colon, if your transit time through the colon is very slow, as those toxins are going through the colon connected to the bile, a lot of them will get reabsorbed. If the transit time's quicker, they come out. Or if you take, as long as you're not constipated, a binder, which will bind the bile and pull out the toxins, that's helpful too. The other main way the liver detoxes is with many different biochemical reactions, and that's where things like NAC, glutathione, and some herbs become helpful, like dandelion and some other herbs. And the dandelion could work on the gallbladder too. So you want
Thank
to
you.
get these detox organs working well, I feel, for 1 to 2 weeks before you even start a protocol to detox the spike protein. And then you start, for instance, Dr. McCullough's protocol. And then after you're on his protocol for, at least a few days, if not a week or so, and then you start taking things to eliminate the spike protein. I mean, that's what I do in my practice. I confirm
Yeah.
it's working, it's coming down, and it goes to zero. And then I
Thank you.
check after it's zero, you could check every so often, make sure it's still zero. Sometimes you're re-exposed and you don't know it. You don't have another vaccine, you don't get COVID, but you're with someone who had COVID or someone who's vaccinated that's also shedding, and you pick up spike proteins again. Or, if you listen to some other people, it may be elsewhere in the environment for some reason.
So if you're around someone that's had COVID or has been vaccinated, you can pick up the spike proteins from them.
If they're shedding, and not everyone sheds, but yes. And if they still have this, they have to still have it and they have to be shedding. And then it could happen if you're susceptible. So we didn't mention what happened with COVID. I mentioned that a lot of people will clear the COVID and you can clear the spike protein too. Some people don't clear spike protein well. And just other people, it just lingers in their body, and that's why you need to treat it. With the vaccine, which is really a gene product, it's not really, technically a vaccine until they change the definition of a vaccine. Based on the prior definition, it's not a vaccine, but on the new definition, it is. It's basically gene therapy, and it's programming your cells to produce spike protein. So the idea was kind of good initially. Well, if we tell the body to make spike protein and it makes it, the body's immune system will say, oh, that's foreign, and create antibodies to it. So now, if you're exposed to COVID, you have your first line of defense there already. You have your antibodies to spike protein. However,
Nice.
What a lot of scientists felt and what came true is the spike protein ended up being the most toxic part of COVID. So why would you want your body to make that? They didn't realize that in the beginning, presumably. And then it's supposed to program your body to make spike protein for anywhere from 1 to 3 days, maybe up to 2 weeks. Now, if you're using gene therapy, not everybody's going to react to that the same. So some people, and I've seen people that keep making spike protein months and months and even years after the vaccine. How do I see that? With my energy testing. When I see spike protein in the body, the next thing I ask is this person producing any spike protein? And if I get a zero, fine. If I get a number there and I know they had the vaccine, so I check if the person's still producing it, and I also check how well they're clearing it on a scale of 0 to 10. And I use certain techniques, which will be included in your energy technique, to stop production of the spike protein and maximize or optimize your clearance of it. And I recheck afterwards to make sure
Production
their production stopped and their clearance of it
spike.
is optimized as close to 10 as possible. And another thing the spike protein could do is it could affect your P53 gene complex. And they were warning about that while the vaccine was coming out. P53 gene complex is the gene complex that helps repair DNA damage. And I believe the vaccine can suppress this gene. And what happens is your DNA repair is not as optimal as it should be.
Yeah.
And when you get DNA mutations or disrepair, you're more likely to get cancer. And if you get cancer and your DNA repair on your white blood cells that fight cancer is damaged, you may get what they're seeing now, what's called turbo cancer, which is a lay term. It's not a medical term, where people who were doing fine, all of a sudden their cancer recurs, or people who were stable and a low-grade cancer, all of a sudden it goes from grade 1 to grade 4 within a few weeks or months, unexpectedly for no known reason. And so when you get the energy work, you're going to be getting a repair to this P53 gene because the energy work works on the DNA. Lastly, there's this Dr. Anna Marie, I don't want to mispronounce her name, Mihalcea, Mihalcea. I don't think she has a website. She does dark field or live blood analysis. Now, she just started doing it during COVID and during the vaccine, so she doesn't have a long experience doing it. And she started seeing structures forming in the blood that didn't belong there, increasing their size and replicating. So she talks about nanobots and nanotubules and graphene oxide. To be honest with you, with my energy work, I haven't detected any of that. She feels she's seeing it. It could be, but I'm a little leery because she was seeing it in vaccine bottles and people who are vaccinated, but now she sees it in everybody and everything and all medicines, seeing it in food. So now I get a little suspicious if it's so ubiquitous, is it really that ubiquitous or is it maybe artifact? But I don't know. But what I can tell
I
you,
hear they're putting it in all kinds of stuff. It's supposed to
I,
be in certain soft drinks and it's supposed to be everywhere from what I'm hearing. So we do have a nanobites activation. I received that when I was really, really sick. I hadn't heard anything about nanobites or anything, but I was really, really, really sick with COVID. And I heard run nanobites activation. So we'll be doing that. I really think that really helped save my life. I have done most of these vitamins and minerals over the last couple of years. But I didn't know you had to totally do this detox before you did the ivermectin.
right,
So
and I
that's good
do
to know.
recommend something for the liver, kidneys, and lymphatic system. There may be some remedies that the ones I use, they only sell to practitioners. I use Pekana, Pekana remedies, but there are some other ones you can get homeopathic remedies and herbs for the liver, kidneys, and lymphatic system to start on that too. And if
Yeah.
you're constipated, taking whatever you need to take for that, magnesium, cascara, or whatever the case may be.
Perfect. I want to thank you so much for being here today and sharing with everybody. I'm going to start some energy work now. I really appreciate you. You guys, we're going to give you Dr. David's contact information, and he can work with you over Zoom. You don't have to be there in person, but if you can be, that's great. But if you can't be, he can write you a prescription. He could suggest for your doctor what you need to do. He can help you in any way, like if you're in another country or something because I've had him write me prescriptions and then I take him to a doctor here and then my doctor here does the prescription for me. So if you're in another country and you have a good relationship with a doctor and you need some help with some prescription drugs that you can't just get over the counter, then Dr. David can help you with that. If you're in the United States, he can write you a prescription for whatever it is you need. So he's here to support you so you can detox properly. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, David. I really, really appreciate you. I
My
know you
pleasure.
really helped me get through this. I know you did. Thank you. So what we're going to be doing today is we're working on vaccine injury, and also if you have coronavirus or if you're just around people that are shedding. I'm using this energy, and we're going to be doing nanobytes activation. When I was really sick with COVID, I received this activation. We're going to be doing gene replacement. We're going to be doing DNA repair because a lot of people are reporting that their DNA has been altered. So we're going to change that, and we're going to set it back to the blueprint. We're also going to be working on autoimmune. We're going to be doing disconnect from disease consciousness. We're going to be clearing toxics out of your body, clearing turbo cancer, organ rejuvenation. We're going to be clearing your blood and your lymph system. And we're going to be working on mast cell activation. We're going to be deactivating that. And also we'll be doing universal life grid, which will put a protective shield around you so you're not picking up on other people's energy. So you are protecting yourself from that. And we're also going to be doing vitamins and minerals. Make sure if you're listening to this, go back and listen to Dr. David's talk. He'll give you a lot of information about vitamins and minerals and things you can do to support this. The energy work I'm going to do today is going to start working on you right away, and it's going to continue working on you over the next couple days, next couple weeks, and will continue even working months later, bringing your energy to a clearer state. So don't worry about it. Now, some of you are going to get knocked out and you might get really emotional. This is totally and completely normal. You're detoxing. We're going to ask this energy to go really clear. Absolutely. We'll be clearing your skin. That's the largest organ in your body. So organ rejuvenation will also be working on your skin. So during this, I'm going to be silent and to allow you to have your own experience. So I connect to source energy and I run the energy. You are going to receive whatever activations you need. So you're not going to necessarily receive them all unless you need to, but you will receive the ones you need. And like I said, it'll start working with you right away, and it'll continue working with you for a long time. Now, if you like what I'm doing today, I do teach practitioner training, and we start with the first level, which gives you 30 golden seals, which allows you to do sacred geometry activations on people, help them with their soulmates, help them with anger and resentments, birth traumas, inner child, family constellations. And the sacred geometry activations alone are going to do a lot of repair in your body and help you with your intuition. And I will be adding those in also. I'll be running the Lord Metatron and Moses codes and the Christ consciousness activation that are going to help you shift. Now, with the practitioner training, it's on demand. You can start anytime you want. This allows you to work on other people plus yourself. And it also comes with a membership to our website, our basic membership, which gives you access to over 200 activations. And you get that membership for a whole year. And then when you sign up for practitioner training, guess what? You get to do it as many times as you want, absolutely free. Come and repeat. We have a community that is there to support you and to practice with you. So there's my commercial on who I am and what I'm all about. I'm really here in service to help you be a better you, and that's what I'm all about. That's my whole thing. Seriously, I'm even deeper than that. I'm all about world peace, and world peace begins with you. It's all up to you because it's an inside job. And yes, I totally and completely believe heaven on earth, and I do believe we're in the golden age and we're creating that now. And over the next couple of years, going to be a lot of things that are going to be coming up and falling. Don't get caught up in it. It's just a video game. And truly, we are pillars of light. So let's get started with that. And I'm going to be running all of these activations. Everything I've said, I am going to run. So just connect inside, and here we go. The best thing to do is just close your eyes. And that's all you have to do. Doesn't matter what you're thinking about. And yes, I'm going to get very comfortable in my chair and just kick back and connect. So again, nanobytes, DNA repair, gene replacement. Also, anger and resentment at the system, and anger and resentment for being forced to doing something against your will, or even feeling stupid about doing it. Just let all of that go. Clearing spike protein. Also going to be balancing out your microbiome, gut health. Clearing your blood and lymph system. Gently clearing the toxins out of your blood system. Clearing death wish. Dying to live. Black magic puppet master. Healthy boundaries, not your doormat. Bleeding heart. Fear of authority. Lord Metatron, Christ consciousness. Tree of life. Now imagine you can go into Mother Earth, or imagine you can put your feet in the soil or the sand, or you can hug a tree. Taking a really nice, big, deep breath. You could have felt a lot of energy today. You might not have felt anything. Doesn't matter. It's still working for you and with you. This will also help your family members and people around you. You might feel spacey today. You might get angry in a couple days. Just understand that's energies that are clearing. You might not feel anything at all, but yet you just start feeling better. That's what it's all about, is just feeling better. Feel that peace, love, joy, and happiness going through every single cell of your body. Your whole body's being completely and totally repaired without any detox side effects. We are here for you. We love you. We're all in this together. We're one big family, no matter where you are in the world or what your belief systems are. We're all in this together. We are one family, and I love you. And I thank you so much for joining today. And thank you, Dr. David. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Share this with everybody you possibly can. This is about being a healthy world full of joy, peace, and happiness. That's what this is all about. That's what I'm all about. And again, if you like what I'm doing and you're seeing some results in your life, make sure you join the practitioner training. Again, there's payments. It's online. You can be anywhere in the world and you can join any live class anytime you want, as long as you've done that class. And this is just the beginning, the practitioner training. We have a lot of levels of training. I teach you every single thing I know because I want you to be empowered. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending you much love, and we'll get these replays out to you really soon. Thank you, everybody.